Okay, guys, remember what we talked about last week, all right? This is the third meeting. Last week we talked about the things that are here in this paper, all right? So I made photocopies at that time, but I forgot them in my room. So actually they were there down in the photocopy room. So you have this paper that we talked about last time, and it can give you lots of clues about how you can start. If you just go to the last paper here in the back, last one, this is the front and this is the back, the last one in the back. You can just read position paper, all right? The country, the committee, this is the way they usually want you to write your position paper. So you will send it later on. They will send us an email where we have to write our position papers, and we're going to send them the position papers based on this format, all right? Now, if you read with me, like for example, questions to consider, these are not to answer, to consider while you are writing the position of your country with regard to topic 1 or topic 2 or topic A or topic B. Now, it's really important to know that you have to make 2 position papers for both topics. Then also when you start the searching process, you have to search for the 2 topics, because what we said last time, they are going to vote for which topic they are going to argue, to debate for. Now, what if you prepared yourself for one topic and suddenly during the voting process they voted for the second topic? Then what are you going to do for the rest of the days? 3 days you're going to do what? Just sitting? You don't have a lot of information. And guess what? To start searching on the spot, forget about it. It's really like, useless process. All right? So you have to carry on a process of search that covers both topics. All right? So here you just take in consideration in your country's opinion, not in your opinion, because at the end of the day you don't represent your country of origin. What are the main elements of the problem? The problem that is discussed in the topic. Guys, some of you even today came to me and asked me about the topics. The topics are already there. I put a copy in the girls section and another copy in the boys section. You have the titles. These are the titles. Now, sorry?
And on the website.
And on the website, for sure. I took them from the website at the end of the day. It's only that, like, I guess 4 to 5 days ago, only those who are in the special summit of a futuristic technology, the organizer has changed the topics, and these are the new topics. Again, if you find any problem, guys, just Google it, AUSMUN 2018. And you will find the thing that I'm talking about here. Now, this is with regard to the first paper. I can go through the rest, but it's all about things related to the topic. And I need to shift your attention to something, guys. ما بعرف if you can correct me or not, Leia, you were with me last year. Last year, did they send us booklets?
Background guide?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're sure?
For each committee. It was different.
You should, because there was one year when they didn't send us anything.
The year before.
Okay, then it happened before, and it might happen at any time. Remember that this event is growing very fast, more than 1,500 students this year. So I don't think this year they are going to send booklets. Hopefully they are going to send. What are the booklets? We know the titles of the topics, but usually we wait until they send us like a whole booklet, 7, 8, 9 pages, whatever, about the problem itself, about each of the topics. Like one booklet for topic A, one booklet that contains like the problem of each topic. Now, we had to study this one. You will find lots of information about the past actions related to this topic by UN and by other countries. So it can like give you a help or a point where you can start from. What if they didn't send this? Does it mean that we just go there without like any kind of ideas about any of the topics? No. So this is why you have to start from now, and you can. You don't have even to wait. The topic itself is about a problem. You can just search it. Why do we have to wait until they send it to us? What if they send it late, the same as they usually do? Last year, I guess they sent it like 2 weeks, مظبوط Leia? 2 weeks, I guess, 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the actual date of the conference?
Gave it to me in January.
ما بعرف. January, okay, so it was 1 month before. Okay, January, you might have lots of quizzes, tests, whatever, so why do we have to wait until the last moment? Anyway, this is all for this paper. Now, the second paper is the most important. This is our topic for today. This is the most important. This is, Kamal, today is the most important meeting. And every time I carry on this meeting, I just receive some requests to repeat it the week after. So I might repeat it next week. Now, This one, as you can see here in the front page, it's written 2012. This is what they sent us in 2012, and they stopped sending us how to booklet again. So no problem, we still can use it because it's the same procedure that we have to follow in every year MUN. So this is basically about information about the MUN and the language that you have to use and the procedures of MUN, the rules. As I said before, you cannot talk the same as you do in the classroom. You just turn to your friends and to your colleague and start talking, or talk without raising your hand, or. There are procedures, guys. There are things related to raising your hand, but this time you have to raise your black card. All right? Also, there are certain procedures that you have to follow while you are speaking. For example, you cannot talk, offend others, and there are certain things. We can go through them all. Now, so let's start. Just quickly, some more information, the thing that I already highlighted. It's policies of your assigned countries, not policies of your own opinion. Again, separate yourself from your country of origin. You are representing the country that is assigned to you. Whether you like it or not, this is something else. So, resolution. The main aim of this 3 days conference is to try to come up with a resolution, a solution, a law that will tackle the problem discussed in topic A or topic B, and then your job is to make it able to pass the voting process. Here, compromises. Keep in mind that in the real world we have more than 212 countries. In MUN we will also have more than 50 to 60 countries. In the General Assembly sometimes we had, like, I don't know, last year it was more than 100 countries, so 100 representatives. So for sure, you can't find everybody agree with you, and you can't find everybody disagree with you. So for sure you have to keep in mind that you have to make some compromises. It's okay, if you can't get 100% of the solution, you can at least try to work on 75%. If you can get 75%, why not getting 50%? It's still a credit for you, all right? Because it depends on the interest of other countries. You can't expect that everybody will care for the interest of your country, because they have interests as well. And your interests might clash, might overlap. Now, the delegations that dedicate more time to researching their country's policies are usually the countries that are catalysts in formulating a plausible solution. If you really want to be an effective delegate, then you have to carry on a very important and tough researching process. Because if you lack information about the topic, then how can you make a solution for it? If you don't understand the problem, then how can you come up with the answer, right? This is why I urge you all, guys, to try to work out with other countries to find a solution. And those who are going to propose a solution, they have to write it on a paper and send it to the chair, and then they will be called on the stage, and then they will be attacked by all the countries. You have to be sure about resolution. And this all depends on the searching process. This is why I said before, and I keep on saying all the time, research, 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 and then debate. It's all about researching. Now, accurately represent the interest of your country, again, not the interest of your own. You don't necessarily agree with. In reality, I don't agree with the policies of United States, but at the end of the day, I am a representative of the United States, so I have to carry on the interest of my country. By the way, those people are sitting there are not stupid. If you say something that contradicts your country's policies, you will be given a note. And guess what? You're finished. You're done.
Sir,
Because you don't. Sorry.
it happened last year with a
With?
guy who took United States.
Okay.
And he was in our committee, the refugee committee.
Uh-huh.
And a month before Trump released the ban thing. And
Okay.
then his research was based on stuff before the ban.
Yeah, you
So
see.
he was like defending it. And then she
Remember
told
last
him-
time I said you have to keep yourself updated all the
She
time?
told him, she's like, you're representing the government, not the citizen.
You see? Okay, you are talking against the policies, in reality, against the policies of your country. It's true that this is a mock conference, but at the end of the day, you are representing real policies of countries. Yes, who was raising her hand here? Somebody? I don't know. All right. So, okay, it's up to you to be creative, yet not to sacrifice your country's interest. There are two key words here, guys, in this page that you have to take care of. The first word is compromises, and the second one is sacrifice. You have to make compromises, but the compromises have to be limited. You can't also sacrifice all the interests of your country. Otherwise, in reality, if you did this, your government will send you off and will appoint another ambassador, because you are appointed to defend the interests of your country. That. Let's go for the procedures. Okay, got it. However, MUN debates MUN debates run differently than the debates you might have experienced at high school or in your class. Agreed upon procedures, and these are the procedures that I signed a paper and I sent there, confirming that my students will abide these laws and regulations. So once you do something wrong, especially if it's a kind of offending, they are going to dismiss you. It's not good. Not for you, neither for you nor for us, really. So, first of all, caucus, and we have different types of caucuses. Caucus means meeting. Meeting, just meeting, but this is the term that is used in politics. All right, how do you use this? We want to make a meeting. Well, it's a conference, it's a meeting at the end of the day. Now, there are two types, as I said. Unmoderated, informal meeting. Moderated, which is a formal meeting. So, what do we mean exactly? When we have a meeting or a seminar, we usually have somebody who runs the seminar. We call him moderator, right? Right? So it's the same here. We have unmoderated, which run a meeting that is run without a moderator, and we have an unmoderated, a meeting that is run with a moderator, in the presence of a moderator. Now, the unmoderated caucus allows nations to actively lobby each other for ideas and support. I'll just read it and then I'll explain. The delegate making the motion must specify the time limit for the caucus. أول شيء, what does it mean, motion? To motion for something is to request something. So, the chair, as we said last time, is going to start by, asking you for being enlisted on the speaker list and then the voting process. Now you start the actual meeting because you already voted for a topic A or topic B, whatever. Then you started talking, you started debating about this topic, whatever topic, and then suddenly you felt that you want to carry on a message for one of the delegates, but you don't want to say it on public so other delegates would hear this. Because if they hear this, they might block the way, okay, you are trying to make like alliances with others. So what are you going to do? You have two ways. Either you can send notes, you will be given like a notebook, just write whatever you want, but it should be within the limit of courtesy and politeness. Just write whatever you want, and address it to the delegate of any country, fold the paper and raise your hand. Somebody called Page, okay, this is his title, the page, there will be more than one page in every committee, will approach you, and he is the only one who has the right to open the paper, because he needs to know where should he deliver the paper to. So he will open the paper, he will say, okay, from the delegate of USA to the delegate of Somalia. He will go there, he will deliver it to him.
He will also read what you write.
Taban, he will read I say this. If you wrote anything wrong, and if you are sending your number, for example, then believe me, you will be dismissed. Anjan, it's really serious, guys. Okay? Okay, now, or there is a more practical way. Because sending papers, sometimes you cannot, it needs a lot of time to write everything you want, and then you will have to wait for the reply. And there are other delegates, so everybody will just raise his hands, and maybe when it comes to your turn, it will be like 5 or 6 minutes. So the idea you want to tackle is already possible. So there's a more practical way, which is raising your placard. This is a placard. And when you are approached by the chair, you will say, the delegate of refrain from using personal pronouns. I request, who is you? I don't care for you, I care for your country. You are representing a country. The delegate of Somalia, for example, why I keep on saying Somalia? The delegate of Afghanistan is requesting or suggests a unmoderated caucus, but then you have to specify the time limit for the caucus, for 10 minutes, for example. Don't exaggerate when you choose the time. If the whole session is 2 hours, you can't ask for unmoderated caucus for 1 hour and a half. What is left? All right? Also, don't make it very short. 2 minutes. Shoot 2 minutes. If you send the paper and you wait for a reply, it's gone. So, let's say 15, 10, 12, whatever. And then, it doesn't mean that you are granted what you want. Because you will have to wait until you see what will be the reply from the chair. Sometimes he agrees, sometimes he will just make it up to voters. So they will vote for this motion. They call it motion. Motion 2, request 2. Again, get used to the, be familiar with the terms used there. Motion 2, unmoderated caucus for 10 minutes. All right. If you are granted this, what are you going to do? You have the right to lobby. You have the right to move. In reality, in real United Nations, you have the right to leave the whole room and go for the restaurant, have something to eat, to talk to somebody, invite somebody to lunch, and then you can talk, do whatever you want to do, but outside, informally. All right? Now, in this MUN, it's a mock conference. They don't have this number of personnel to follow you actually outside, so you have to stay in the same room, but still you can move out through chair and then go around. For example, you need to talk to the delegate of Somalia. You go to Somalia delegate and talk to him personally. In this way, you can tell him whatever you want to try to convince him to ally with you, all right? But others are not going to listen to what I'm going to say. Some others are going to do the same as well with other countries. Even you can go to those who are against you and try to convince them, to talk to them, all right? Try to build bridges, all right? Now, there is another type which is, that was unmoderated. Okay, again, the unmoderated caucus can be good opportunity for delegates to discuss a resolution or an amendment. There is after they vote for the resolution, if it really works, then you can vote or motion for amendment. Will you agree, but if they just change part of this law, maslan. So, to arrive at a compromise. In a full day and multi-day debates, informal caucus may take place anywhere, including the lunch or at night or 4 or whatever. Don't do it informally. In this fashion, delegates follow the actual practice employed by real diplomats, although hard to monitor. A good conference will evaluate the performance of delegates. Now, guys, remember that during the unmoderated caucus, you don't have to think that you are not projected and seen. You are visible. So those moderators are going to look at you and see what are you doing, how are you going to use the time, to make use of the time during the unmoderated caucus. Is it just a kind of time for relaxing? Or you are really lobbying and talking to others? This is what they want. They want to see you are really talking to this one, that one. Okay, you are trying to make kind of lobbying or alliances. Now, what about the moderated caucus? The moderated caucus is easier. It's formal. It's still moderated because it's done under the supervision of the chair, the head of the committee. Moderated caucus is held under the supervision of the moderator and the director. We don't have a moderator. We call the head of the committee a chair, the chair. The delegate moving for moderated caucus must provide the time limit for the moderated caucus, the speaking time for each speaker, and the topic that will be discussed. Let me tell you something. In the beginning, it's the same as the unmoderated, in the sense that you still have to follow the same procedure. You still have to raise the black card. When you are approached, you will refrain from using the personal pronoun. You will talk on behalf of your country. The delegate of Somalia, again, suggests a moderated caucus. Still, you have to do the same and specify the time limit. But then, if the moderated caucus is for 10 minutes, for example, you will have to specify also the speaking time for every delegate. Like, for example, the delegate of Somalia suggests a moderated caucus for 10 minutes, speaking time 1 minute and a half. Which means that every speaker who wants to talk, he will be allowed to talk for 1 minute and a half. If he take more than time, he will be stopped by the chair. Okay? Now, speaking time and the topic for sure. When do you usually use the moderated caucus? Yes, can you say it please?
After the opening speeches, when there's like a topic to begin the conference.
Okay, there is a topic, but in Tibi, what are we talking about here? We're talking about you have to decide the topic that will be discussed. Which means sometimes after the voting process, everybody knows that, خلاص, all right, the 3 days conference are going to be focused. In these 3 days, we're going to focus on topic A, for example. Yes, but once you start debating, and I guess I did the debating here with one of the classes, I guess, maybe 12C. And remember, guys, we started the debate about one process, about one thing, one title, but then we ended up having more than one title. Because this is the nature of a human being. You just go for widening the topic. Now, you will notice that we started talking about terrorism, for example, and then we ended up talking about nuclear bombs in another country. All right, let's go back to the topic. Let's narrow it down. So in this case, you will ask for moderated corpus. And then you will have to specify as the time, the speaking time, and the topic that you want everybody to talk about. Then, in this case, the chair is going to make this subject to voting. If more than of the half of the delegates voted for, then it will pass. If not, it will not pass. This is what we're going to do, not next week, the week after, when we do the mock conference. We will do it as if we are all in one committee, all right, and we're just going to choose one topic, not from your own, because what if I choose something that is related to technology while you are in a different committee? I'll be the chair, and I expect from you to carry on what I'm telling you now. Use these things, all right? Now, any questions, guys? Easy, but you need some practice. Yes, Mr. How do you vote? Yeah. Raising the placard. He will ask you to, for example, who is against, who is for. When the chair is asking, for example, guys, when the chair is asking who, remember also this term. When the voting process starts for anything, the chair is going to use this term. He's going to, any seconds to second the motion means to agree with. Any seconds, you will raise your black card. This is the voting process. If you are with, if you are against, you are not going to raise. And then there will be counting process. They will count. They have like pages to count. You have the right either to vote for, or to vote against, or to abstain. Abstain means not to vote at all. You don't want to vote. You are not with and not against. So you have the right, no problem. Okay, guys? All right. Any more questions? No. How much time do we still have?
3:30, right?
Yeah?
So 25 minutes.
25 minutes. All right, good. Yeah. Let's go here, guys. All right. خلصوا خلاص؟ شكرا كثير. All right, guys. Power of the chair. The chair is simply the highest ranking person in your committee. In every committee, you will have the chair, the president of the committee. And his words are final. You can't argue with him. When he says something, you have to follow the order. He might give you the chance to reply to a question, he might not. It doesn't mean that you have to be upset. Oh, Stas, كل مرة برفع إيدي, you don't go out, حبيبي. There is no way, okay, no way to argue with him. Staff. The staff are the pages who just, move around. Sometimes if there is a requirement for a mic, they move around. If not, they just move around when you raise your hand with this small notes to be sent from one delegate to another. Okay? Now, here comes the delegations. You are the delegations. The delegates, يعني. All right? You are the delegates. Delegate of different countries. You are called delegate. Nobody's going to call you by your name. Nobody's going to call you by your country. They are going to say, delegate of Pakistan, delegate of India, delegate of delegate. All right? Even when you talk about other delegates, you have to refer to them as delegates. Now, courtesy is the respect of the chair and the laws and regulations that we are tackling now. The agenda is the topics that you are going to discuss. And the simple majority means related to the voting process. So the voting process will run according to the simple majority. What is simple majority? Who can explain this? Simple majority, it means half and one after the half. Like for example, you have 10 delegates. If 6, which is more than the half, voted for, then it passed. Okay? Now, I don't know who asked me last time about B or P, so it's a placard. I did a mistake, I guess. So it's a placard. This is the placard. Okay? This is the placard. Everybody will be receiving a placard from the organizers. And this is why last time I said that we are going there for the registration process. Once you receive your black card, you might find mistakes طبعا written, in the spelling mistakes, but then no problem. We can contact people there to correct it. Okay. Limit on speeches. Remember last time when we talked about the opening speech, a position paper, opening speech, and then I said that you will be given like a specific time to talk. You cannot be enlisted on the speaker's list and then you talk how much you want. No. Look, there is no time limit in reality, but the church reserves the right to limit the time. Usually it's 1.5 minutes. So when you write your position paper, please time it. Put a timer and read it. And see if it is 90 seconds, less or more. Yes, who was talking?
1 minute and 30 seconds in respect to questions.
It depends. من واحدة لواحدة بيختلف. So maybe in the AUD they did it wrong. Okay, different.
They included the time for questions with it if we had like a limited time.
Yes, but what if you don't want to open your speech to questions? Because it's optional at the end of the day. Yes, miss. مش بالاوبننج سبيش لا usually لا بالاوبننج سبيش it's no because it's only just for the voting but usually when you talk okay you can okay later on after the voting process. Okay, now anybody okay somebody raises something? No. All right guys, let's continue. Yields. What is yields? There are different types of yields. You're talking, you raise your black card, you are approached and you are given the time to talk. You talk. After you finish, you can't just finish and say thank you. No. Nobody will talk after you. They will just keep on staring at you. Is he professional and he's going to follow the procedures and yield to somebody? You can't just finish and say thank you, move. No. You have to, any delegate speaking on a substantive issue may yield all the remaining of his hair or her time to the following. You have to. First, either you lead to another delegate. You finish, you just say, okay, the delegate of Somalia yields the remaining time of his speech to the delegate of Afghanistan, for example. This is in case if you know who is coming after you. So you know, for example, the speaker list is in front of you on the screen, and you know that you are followed by the speaker of the delegate of another country. Or you don't have anything to yield, you don't have anything, to add, you don't want to open to questions, you don't know who is coming after you, so you just yield it to the chair. The delegate of Somalia yields the remaining of the time to the chair, and then go and sit down. If you say thank you and just you went back, get to your place, they are going to call you again, just to say this word. The delegate of yields to the remaining time to the chair. Okay? Now, yield to questions. This is critical. I'm going to say why it's critical. It's obvious when you finish, the same as you are doing your presentation in the classroom, and you finish and say, any questions? All right. But you don't have to say it any question. You have to say it also following the rules. The delegate of Somalia yields the remaining time to questions. When do we have to use this one? Leia, can you answer this, please? When do you have to yield to questions?
When you know what you're talking about.
Exactly. All right. What will happen if you don't really know exactly what you're talking about? You're not sure, you're not confident. Okay? And then you yield to questions. And you will start receiving hundreds of questions. Some of them will be very tricky because you expect to find students who spend the rest of their time only to search about the mistakes that you are doing. All right? So what are you going to do in this case? You will show yourself as stupid, who talks and talks and talks, and then when it comes to reality to answering questions, you don't know how to answer the questions? Right? So what are you going to do? Now, listen to this. If you yield the time for a question, and then you received a question and you fail to answer it, then forget about winning. Forget about it. Because it's obvious that you cannot support your speech. It's obvious. Now, if you are not confident, this is my advice. If you are not like Mish 100, 200% confident about what you talked about, then don't yield to questions. Keep in the safe side and yield to the church. Okay? Better. unless if you are really confident. Now it's the opposite. If you are confident and you yield to questions and you receive questions, you receive the questions and you answer them all and fully and convincingly, then it's a credit for you. Okay? So again, remind you of what I said before, the delegate of Morocco who yielded to questions and received questions about the number of soldiers Morocco can send to that problem. And then she said 500,000 because she was rushing. She didn't expect that she would receive this question. So she was rushing in her answer. She didn't have enough information. And then she was told by somebody that the whole number of soldiers in Morocco were 200,000. So,
Are you saying there's something wrong with Morocco?
all right. No yields are made. Shh, please. If the speaker does not yield to the chair, to another delegate, or to questions, the comments will be in order given that the speaker has not taken up the time allowed to him or her. The moderator will entertain a maximum of 2 comments. If you didn't yield to any of these people and you still have time, the chair is going to give you a note that you have to yield, but then they might allow like 2 or 3 responses to what you said. Usually it doesn't happen. Usually he's going to ask you to yield. And usually if you don't yield, if people didn't yield, it's usually because they forgot about it. Because you will find that there are lots of new people for the MUN, the same as the majority of you, who are going to commit lots of mistakes. Now, any question, guys? Yes. Banat, please. Layan. When you finish your speech, whether there is enough time or not. Still, I'll tell you what. This is a good question, guys. What if you are talking and you passed the 90 seconds, and then he stopped you? Still, you have to use.
Sir, في هيدا
مش بكل الكومنتس. Yeah, not in the all comments. Some of the moderators, actually, chairs, are going to time it. Some of them are not. Some of them are going to use this one. Some of them are going to use like digital software that will give you a note after the 90 seconds. Whatever. It's really annoying. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Tala.
Sir, when you write your position paper, should I base it on the 90 seconds that I have?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, you might write it not based on the 90 seconds, but then when you when you read it, make sure that it covers the 90 seconds or less, little bit less. Because what is the use of writing 2 pages full of good information, but you're not going to be given a chance to talk about it, right? So limit your speech to 90 seconds and try the maximum actually to carry on the direct message within these 90 seconds. 9. Point of information, guys. Point of information. They can be directed to the speaker after he or she is finished speaking and must be formulated in the form of a question. For example, is the delegate aware? Like, for example, which delegate you are? Delegate of which country? Yeah? Yes? Colombia. All right. Which delegate? Afghanistan. The delegate of Afghanistan was saying something. Then she finished. All right. Even if she didn't yield to question, you still have the right to raise your black card. Let's say there is something that you misunderstood or you didn't understand of what she said. Then you raise your black card, all right? You are approached. You're going to talk to the chair because he approached you. So what are you going to say? You're going to say, point of information. The delegate of Colombia requests, for example, the delegate of Colombia to repeat. Or she said something and you doubt that what she said was incorrect. So you have the accurate answer or the accurate information. So raise your card, you're approached by the chair, you start with point of information. Is the delegate, is she, personal pronouns, refrain, is the delegate of Afghanistan aware that 1, 2, 3 was wrong, Maslam? All right? So point of information. Right to reply. Before we read it from here, the delegate of Afghanistan, while she was speaking, she said something about Iraq, for example. Then the delegate of Iraq felt that it's his duty to reply. It's his country at the end of the day, right? So he will raise his black card again. He's going to be approached by the moderator or the chair, and then he will say, right to reply. when you are, okay, you will have to wait until you hear the word granted or denied. You might say, right to reply, you want to talk, like because you are upset, she talks about something bad about your country. And then the chair will tell you, denied. Denied, then, sorry, okay, are you recording? And okay. Point of, okay, right, a delegate whose personal or national integrity has been slandered or misconstrued, may request a right to reply. Again, you feel that there is something wrong that was said or something inaccurate. It might not be offending, but somebody said a wrong information about your country. For example, the delegate of Afghanistan again, she was talking about like 20% of the Saudi people are terrorists. Oh my God, how come she talks about my country like this? Okay, I don't have to feel offended and then, hey, shut your mouth. No, you can't do this. You will be sent out. Follow the courtesy, remember. Raise a black card, again, you are approached. If you are given the right to speak, I mean, if you hear the word granted, then you just start talking. Okay, is the delegate of Afghanistan know that, okay, or could the delegate of Afghanistan reveal his sources of information? I need to know, where did you get the information from? Maybe you are getting the information from unreliable resource. All right? What's funny, guys? You're not serious, by the way. You, the two of you, Karen and Lion. Okay. What else? Point. Okay. Point of personal privilege. Well, in reality, this happens when, for example, you're sitting in a room and it's very cold. You want to go to the toilet, but it's like inappropriate for a politician. And usually there will be like videoing, you know, especially in reality, in real UN, just for a politician to stand up and say, I want to go to the toilet. It's really like not proper. So when you want to do this, you just raise your black card and say point of personal privilege. They know what you want, so you can just know. He will say granted. Or sometimes, like you know, every committee, every chair in every committee in the beginning of the first session, he will give you his own rules. Sometimes every chair will have his own rules. So he will tell you, for example, I will tell you granted, then you can go, or you just, you know, when you feel that you need to leave the room, toilet, whatever, you can go without even raising the black card. But formally speaking, you have to raise the black card. Now, point of parliamentary inquiry. This is very important. This is designed to allow a delegate to question the chair as a correct parliamentary procedure. If you do this one, you will get a credit because you will show the chair that you corrected a mistake for the chair. Yani you know about the procedures more than the chair himself. When do we have to do this usually? Do you remember? Like what? Like granting the right for the... There are so many mistakes. Guys, last year they had so many new chairs and new moderators, and they were participating for the first time. So they committed like thousands of mistakes. And unfortunately, there were also lots of new delegates. So nobody noticed that these are mistakes. But we were sitting there, but unfortunately we were not allowed as advisors to interfere. So we just go and observe. So I noticed lots of mistakes, and when, after the conference, I talked to the organizers and how come, lots of mistakes. Then they told me, all right, they are new. Okay, if you can find a mistake for the chair, it's a credit for you. But what are you going to do? It's not the same as you do in the classroom to make fun of the teacher. Hey, sir, you don't have to pronounce it like this. All right. You can do this. Again, you will be sent out. The same as Karen do with me, for example. All the time she tries to correct me. All right. And then, as far as I remember, sometimes I miss, like, spell a word or something, and then you just correct me. I don't know. So you don't participate. All right. Okay. Yes, no.
What's the point of order?
Point of? Did we talk about it or not yet?
No, it's not in the paper.
خليها. It is in the paper.
It's in the paper, but it's not explained.
I already passed it or not yet? So we're coming to it.
No, please, it's not explained. It's just,
So it's here.
Where is it?
It's in the next page.
In the next page, wait until we come to it. Wait until you get it. It's in the next page, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, we're going in sequence, guys. Shh. Yes.
Can the chair intentionally make a mistake?
Intentionally, no, nobody. Why? Do they have? Is it their job to confuse the delegates? They usually keep in mind that most of the participants are new. So if they commit any mistake, they might confuse everybody. No, guys. So let me just again say, if the chair, for example, granted a right to somebody, a delegate, and it wasn't like right, it wasn't right according to the rules and procedures, then you have to raise the black card, okay, and say, again, when you are approached, you have to say the title here, point of parliamentary inquiry. For example, last year it happened when the chair, all right, passed something without make it subject to voting. So another delegate just raised the black card, and when he was approached, he started point of parliamentary inquiry. Do we have to go for voting process first? Then the chair had to correct the mistake. And this is a credit for you, because it means that you know very well, okay, the rules and regulations. Now, caucusing, we talked about it. Okay, wait. We talked about the moderated and unmoderated caucus, but we have to do, we still miss something. When you want to ask for a motion for a caucus or moderated or unmoderated, you have to know that you have to ask for it prior to the closure of the debate. Like, you are debating about something, and then the chair close the debate about this. You can't say later, after the closing debate, you can't say, you can't raise your black card and then being approached by the chair and then tell him, the delegate of Afghanistan this time, not Somalia, motion to talk about the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, we already talked about it and closed. So you will show yourself again as somebody who doesn't know a lot about the rules and regulations. Okay? The rest here are not used usually in mock conferences. Voting.
Sir, it's 3:30.
Sorry?
3:30.
3:30, or I will continue later on. Thank you.